Funding a comfortable retirement as a freelancer. Welcome to my YouTube channel, The Cranky Cameraman. My name's David. I'm a freelance director of photography. I have worked in media production as a freelancer since I was in high school, and full-time for the last 23 years, primarily as a director of photography. I handle camera and lighting. I own some camera lenses, lighting equipment. I work on broadcast and business. So studying the analytics for my little YouTube channel, the majority of my viewers are between the age of 25 and 45, 100% male, and 40% United States based. For that other 60% in other countries, I apologize, this is going to be very US specific, but I'm hopeful there's a few nuggets of knowledge that you can extract out and maybe apply to the savings vehicles that are available in your country. I was very lucky and fortunate in that as a broke college student, I was forced to get a job, and I landed a role in a machine room at a video duplication facility making VHS dubs of industrial videos. And one of our customers was Fidelity Investments. So I would go to class, and then in the afternoons and evenings, I'd be dubbing tapes on mutual funds, what's a 401k, what's an IRA, asset allocation. And in making videotape dubs, they would happen in real time, and I might have to make 1,000 dubs, but I could only do 100 at a time. So I'd have to watch this same video start to finish for 10 times in a shift, learning about a particular investment vehicle. So at age 19, I opened a Roth IRA account and put a couple $1,000s in there. And I continued to do that right up through age 34, 15 years, and I moved from a Roth IRA to a self-employed IRA, SEP-IRA, and ultimately creating a self-employed 401k with 2 employees, myself plus my spouse. That allowed me to contribute earned income into 2 retirement accounts. And when I hit age 34, that was the 15-year mark of making contributions. Doing forward calculations and adjusting for the compounding and inflation, I realized that I was looking at an extremely healthy retirement at age 65, and quite possibly as early as age 59 and a half, which is the minimum penalty-free withdrawal age. So at 34, I stopped saving for traditional retirement. Okay, so looking at that 25 to 45-year-old age demographic, if I started this year at 44 years old, totally confident I could do it again because I'm further along in my career, I'm earning more money. Being a freelancer, you're very accustomed to that sine wave of income, which I think forces you to squirrel away funds, at least it does for me and much of my peer group. And that actually sets you up to excel at saving for retirement, because when I have a big windfall of cash flow, I can peel off from the top and fund my accounts first before I figure out how to pay bills. All right, when I was funding my IRA and then 401k, my big emphasis at the time, I lived in California, and it was to minimize my taxes due now. I wanted to defer as much as I could. So about a year ago, I put together a video on my channel, link in the description, on a projection of just how much retirement passive income and savings would I need to match a gross earned income today of $120,000. So basically, I wanted to remove the whole complexity of figuring out inflation and 20 years from now. I wanted to just see, like, if I were going to retire next month, so today's dollars, simplicity, if I'm earning 120 grand gross and I am paying down a mortgage, principal, and interest, but then I have the house paid off when I retire early, what gross income do I need from passive income and savings? It's pretty shocked to calculate that I really only need about 40% of that 120 grand, comes in right at about 48,000 before taxes, to net the same amount to cover my living expenses and lifestyle. Okay, so here's some surface level information. Now look, I'm just an art school dropout who stumbled my way into funding my own retirement, so double check all of this info with your own professionals. But I would suggest, if you have zero right now, even if you're in your mid-40s, set aside for retirement, start with a Roth IRA. Simple, easy, after-tax money. The amounts change annually, but this year it's $6,000 is the max you can contribute, and there's an income limit where when you cross that modified adjusted gross income threshold, you're no longer eligible for a Roth. If you're 20 years old and starting out, $500 a month, $6 grand a year, that is amazing. As you get a little bit older and your income increase, like I don't have any confidence that $500 a month is going to get me to a comfortable, stress-free retirement. And if you're self-employed, as I was, the next thing I moved to was a SEP-IRA. Now that's pre-tax money, so basically you reduce your taxable income. And the awesome thing is it basically takes it off in the marginal tax brackets, like the 24, 32%, saving paying taxes on those highest brackets by deferring it into a retirement account. Now you still do have to pay the FICA taxes, the payroll taxes, employer and employee side on the employee contributions. And then as I got into my late 20s, I incorporated as an S-Corp and I opened a self-employed 401k plan for myself plus my spouse. Now at this point I was married. I made my spouse an employee of the company. But what that allowed me to do is like supercharge our retirement savings because I could contribute to 2 401k accounts from the same gross billings coming out of my company. These numbers change, but again, for this year, the maximum employee contribution on a 401k is just under $20,000. But because you're the business owner, you can also contribute a profit share, which is not subject to payroll tax. So using the $120,000 income example, in a self-employed 401k or in an individual 401k, because of the profit sharing component, that works out to $48,000 of contributions, which are not subject to state and federal taxes until you withdraw them down the road when you're retired. Now, to use the example of an owner and a spouse, both on payroll at the company, you can start breaking this out. Let's say I paid myself $60,000. That's $33,000, right? But I can do that times 2, so that's $66,000. So you can see here as the business grows, you get to the point where you've maxed out the contribution amounts. It looks like for this year, it's $54,000 per employee. So that's $108,000 for a married couple working in the business. Now, I never hit the maxes on this, but I had a few years where I was able to max out the employee contribution amount times 2 employees, and then also put a little bit of profit share in. Those profit share contributions are what supercharged my compounding from about age 28 to 34. Up to about age 30, I had self-managed our portfolio. I was initially at Fidelity, then I jumped over to Vanguard, but right around 30, I was getting nervous that maybe I was starting to get in over my head and I should seek out an advisor to rediversify my portfolio and kind of educate me on the next steps of scaling. So we jumped over to a financial advisor at an investment bank that charges an asset under management fee. Basically, whatever your balance is, they pull a percentage of that each year, and that's how they're compensated for managing your portfolio. So initially we met face-to-face in the office, came up with a plan. I think I had a follow-up meeting maybe 6 weeks later. And then after that, we just chatted on the phone. The advisor was great. He would pick up the phone whenever I called, and if I couldn't reach him, he'd ring me right back. And it was not a hard sell at all with all the investment suggestions. It was more like, here's what we'd recommend. What do you think? And I tuned some things a little bit. Like I owned some stock positions they wanted to sell and convert to a more conservative mutual funds, sector-based. And I held firm. I wanted to hold those stocks. They were fine with that. There was some other stuff. Like I've never been too fired up on fixed income, especially I'm so young. Like I've got my whole career to let things compound. I don't feel I need the security of even a 10% bond position. I wanted to be all equities. So spent a few years with that advisor, and right at age 44, my last year of contributions is when I pulled all my money out, moved it back to Fidelity. I'm back to self-managing, and it took me about 2 years, but I slowly sold off the non-index funds that had higher expense ratios. Like I was maybe 0.6 to, I think the highest one was 1.5. I got rid of all of that and just rolled it into S&P 500, Russell 2000, and total stock market index. I've jumped in and out of some other little sectors, energy, healthcare, precious metals. In the end, I wish I, for all this time, had just held the total market and not experimented trying to seek alpha, as they say, outperform the index. All right, I hope this is helpful and encouraging. We can continue the discussion in the comments below. As a freelancer, you already have an unfair advantage to getting there and retiring comfortably. We are so conditioned to the feast or famine. You don't know where the next paycheck's coming from. That slow month of February, like you got through it. The key now is just like you got to peel off top line. Make those contributions before you pay for your other expenses. Take care of yourself first. You can hustle and find the work. We get through the lean months. Just you want to get that goalpost closer and closer to having that option to bail early, or for me, like I know at some point my back is going to give out, and that's going to be the forced retirement from this trade that I love and live for. So get those retirement accounts funded, and please share your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching.